lot of talk.
RJR's Hotline. We're not just talk, we're substance.
Starting with this or this? All right, let me welcome you back to the hotline. Good morning. I'm Andre Earl, sitting in for my learned friend Clive Mullings. I now have in the studios with me the Vice President of the National Consumers League, Mr. Michael Diamond, and the past President, Mr. Trevor Samuels. Good morning. Welcome, gentlemen. Great to have you.
Thank you very much for having us.
All right, so excellent for us to have some discussion now about consumer rights and responsibilities. I like to say rights and responsibilities because it's a two-sided coin. And just wanted to discuss with you now some of the issues, the pertinent issues that you wanted to have a look at this morning.
Well, one of the most important things that we want now for consumers to really be abreast of is the fact that, as you mentioned, there are rights, and rights comes with responsibilities. And just recently, there was an overwhelming response to the budget announced by the government that went into effect today. You know, it's so ironic, it's April's Fools. But nevertheless, we as consumers cannot be fools. We must, at this particular time, be very careful, and we must be very discerning in how we conduct our transactions. This is where we want to remind consumers that collect your receipts, store your warranties, ask questions regarding the warranties that are involved with the purchases that you're making. Because, again, there's going to be more money, you know, expected that consumers will have to spend, and of course providers and merchants alike will want to capitalize on this new budget. So we want to make sure that consumers are protected and protecting themselves by being, again, extra careful and discerning regarding your transactions.
Right, very important, and many of us, I think, Mr. Samuels, as you raised that point, are not careful enough in terms of following up, in terms of looking at our receipts. Point made, as you said, some of us don't even get the receipts. That's the first thing, right? We don't wait for the receipts. But the second thing is that having gotten the receipt, we don't examine it. Exactly. Is the figure correct? Is it in the right currency? I heard about somebody the other day who went to a particular establishment in Maypen, purchased chicken, I think, for $600 Jamaican, and it was $600 US that was charged to her card.
Oh,
didn't check it.
Didn't check it.
And how she discovered it is when she wanted to use the card later on, it was stopped. The transaction was stopped, and she said, "But I have money on my card. I wanted to find out that it was $600 US."
That converts to a lot of Jamaican
dollars.
Yes.
Oh yes. So your point is well made.
Right.
Yes.
It's a very expensive chicken.
Expensive chicken. I don't know what kind of breed of chicken that was. And that is why, you know, we want to probably focus on some of the younger consumers.
Yes.
You know, people who just leave universities or colleges and they are going out in life to start life, you know, flying the nest as we speak. And some of the things that we say to them, you know, be careful because you are out there for the first time. You were protected by your parents to a large extent. So therefore, you are now flying on your own. And there are certain pitfalls that you have to look for as young consumers. And one of the first things that probably a young person might want to do is to go and rent a house.
Yes.
Because you're now flying the nest. What
That's
do you look for? And one of the first things you have to look for, the rental scammers. I've known too many people who end up at a open lot or a gas station when they send them out. When some of the agents send them out to go and look a house.
Yes.
You know, when they respond to an ad, they find that there's nothing there. And the money is already gone. So one of the first things that the young consumer needs to do when they are renting a place is to make sure that you are renting from a reliable agency or a reliable person. Or if you go and look on your own, you find that the landlord is actually mostly the owner of the house because some of them are sub-renting. And we have to be very careful of that, especially for the young, inexperienced consumer leaving home for the first time.
Quite right. And,
yes.
and we always like to encourage them to make sure that they get their rental agreement in writing.
In writing.
Also.
Yes. And, you know, the price. Just like you do anything else, you need to shop around for, you know, the best price. You can think, don't take the first place that you probably get. Maybe there's a better one next door, you know, before you get out there. And your deposit. I don't know, you being a learned lawyer, this deposit that you have to pay upon renting a place, is it a legal thing?
Legal, perfectly
It is
legal.
legal.
Yes,
Okay.
provided it is a genuine deposit, which means that at the end of the tenancy, it is repaid to you. Provided, of course, there are no damages no damage rather to any of the furniture or the premises itself.
Right.
And also that there are no utility bills or cable bills, that kind of thing outstanding.
Okay.
So once that is the case, you should be able to get it refunded.
All right. So therefore, in other words, then we are also encouraging the young consumer and the young renter to take care of the premises. You know, because we really have some rental persons, people who rent places, and they really make a havoc of the place before they leave. Because, you know, we have all the older persons usually experience this sort of thing. Some of the younger persons, oh, you know, it's rented, and therefore I can do anything I want with it.
That's right.
Therefore, you know, you also have an obligation, a responsibility as one of your consumer responsibility to take care of the premises you're living in, although it's not yours. But you need to take care of it just the same. Yeah. And the same thing goes for, you know, hire purchase. You know, but the young person might go there and they have to get furniture they can't afford to buy cash, so they go on hire purchase. And some of them, they don't take care of the things, and they move without warning, they giving notice to the person from who they bought the goods that they have moved house. And all these things, you know, it's a responsibility of the young consumer, or any consumer for that matter. If they leave a place or change an address when they have an outstanding hire purchase bill or any bill for that matter, inform the persons who you get these things from.
Quite right, because it affects their credit rating at the end of the day. And you want to make sure that you are honoring and not seem to be trying to escape your responsibilities.
Right.
Exactly. You know, there's actually a shift now. And I say a shift now is that consumerism isn't getting the type of conversation it should get in Jamaica with everything else that is happening. So it's important for us as the National Consumers League to continue to advocate on behalf of consumers. And one of the things that we anticipate in full frontal assault is going to be on, we are encouraging a healthy diet for consumers, and not just simply to have a healthy diet, but the consumer should have a choice. So recently we've had discussions with the Heart Foundation of Jamaica, who is also promoting that, healthy diets for individuals. And part of consumerism requires that a consumer be as informed as possible. One of the options that we're also looking at is the front of package labeling, whereas right on the front of the package, you will have information that will allow you to make that informed decision. Consequently, there's a resistance from the manufacturers and producers. There's going to be resistance from the manufacturers or producers, not simply because they don't want individuals to be healthy, but perhaps it's not beneficial to their production line. And unfortunately, the consequence for us is that we want to promote lives. We're not necessarily saying you shouldn't make a profit, but the idea of it is that there is a market for healthy goods. Why not pursue that so we can save lives? The hospitals are burdened with individuals who are suffering from non-communicable diseases. The medications for hypertension is too expensive for individuals to afford, and this is our reality. So the idea of it is that in the past we have consumed whatever we liked because the information was in fine print on the back of the product. We're saying it should be in bigger print on the front to say, well, hey, this product is in high sugar, high fat, you know, so that, and high sodium. So the idea of it is that it's not just a matter of saying eat healthy. We want you to be informed.
Yes.
So we know buying healthy is a little bit more expensive, understandably, but because we're in a free market, that individual is free to produce whatever, but at the same time we want to make sure that our consumers are informed so they can make an informed decision, because non-communicable disease is a reality in our country. We have young individuals who are dying, you know, from hypertension and heart attacks, and we're saying, why would someone so young pass? Because of how their eating habits are very unhealthy.
And of course, you know, we have a lot of packaging that coming from countries unknown. They say packed for such and such a person. We don't know the country of origin. Suppose we don't want to buy goods from that particular country where this thing is manufactured or packaged. You don't see it on the label at all. It only say packed for such and such a firm in Kingston or in Jamaica.
Yes.
We want to know the country of origin as well.
All right. I know the Bureau of Standards, not to cut you, but I know the Bureau of Standards does have this requirement in relation to labeling, proper labeling, and so your point is well made, because that incident we had, for example, with milk, Yes. Rather than milk products, and coming from certain countries. So we want to make sure that we are vigilant and that we are aware of what it is, the source of these products, and to ensure that we don't expose ourselves unnecessarily.
And how can we rely on the content? For example, meat or milk products. How do we know what is packaged inside and under what condition these things are packaged? Some people are allergic to peanuts, for example, and it can kill you if you have an allergy to peanuts.
That's right.
There are some labels which say, okay, this product was packed on the line where peanuts was packed. But is that, applicable to every product that we use to say that, all right, if peanut was packaged on this line, am I, at risk of getting an allergy, which could be fatal?
We're taking a chance. We're always taking a chance, and that is the reason why we have to look for the certification seals and print on labels, because we want to make sure that the authorities that are certifying a particular product, that they're actually legitimate. There's news coming from overseas that many of the organic products that were labeled as organic were actually not truly organic when they investigated the source of the certification. And this is a problem for us as consumer advocates, because we want to advocate that consumers have choices, but at the same time we don't want to know that these choices are being manipulated or falsely presented to you. So that's where the Bureau of Standards really plays an important role, where the standards of labeling is concerned. We have consumers who mention that they have seen products and there is absolutely no English on the product. Right? So now, unless you read Arabic, Spanish, or French, then you have no idea what you're truly consuming.
That's right.
But it's not only for food, it happens to machinery as well as other things too.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So, it's a thing that you can't read it.
And so what guidance would you give as advocates to our consumers in that particular situation? You can't even understand what's on the product.
Well, don't buy the product. That's one of the best things you can do. Boycott the product.
Most of these products that we actually seen being sold are actually being done on the street by street vendors.
Yes.
However they got it, and they're presenting it to you. As a consumer, be very leery of anything that you're going to consume.
Right.
If you're going to use a machinery and you can't understand the instructions, chances are there's a high risk of injury.
Yes.
Don't use it.
Yes.
Right? Don't use it.
Yes.
If you're unsure, take it to the Bureau of Standards for some clarity.
Or you might buy something which is in metric when, and it is, the thing comes in imperial units, and you find that you buy it and it can't work. You buy a package of tools, a kit of tools, and you find that none of them can be used because they're all in different type of measurements.
Yes.
Whereas you might want to use them on a thing that comes from metric-made countries, and you buy something that comes from imperial countries like United States, and you find that you buy something which is totally useless after you spend your money. You can't use the product.
Yes.
And nobody else will take it from you.
All right.
So, these are a lot of things. And, to say that, all right, the credit rating of a young person is very important. And they must remember that there's such a thing as a credit bureau.
Just remind the listeners how it works.
The credit bureaus?
Yes.
Well, everything that you credit, especially, higher purchase, even your student loan for that matter, goes, the information eventually gets to the credit bureau. When you go to purchase something, especially a large budget item, they might check on the credit bureau to find out exactly what your credit rating is. How well have you been paying back your student loan? How well did you pay your last higher purchase item?
Yes.
And if you falter on your payments, you could be in trouble. And were you ever brought up in court for owing rent, all these other things go on your credit records.
Right.
And it might make it difficult for you in the long run. So therefore, the young consumer must be aware of these things when they're purchasing, things like that.
All right. Well, gentlemen, you want to make a last comment there?
Yes, one of the things that I wanted to highlight is that there is complaints and rumblings that there is a resurgence of bad gas in the market. And we want to advise consumers, motorists especially, when you're making your purchase, it's not common for us to get receipts. We need to ask for receipts, right? Ask for your receipts and make a notation and documentation for where you're experiencing these things. Because, again, what hampered past experiences for bad gas, it was a lack of proof.
Correct.
So we don't want to end up in the same situation. So we're telling consumers that even though it may take an extra few minutes, ask for your receipt when you're purchasing petrol, because bad gas is still circulating, and there are individuals who have been affected.
All right. Well, we have to leave it there. Let me thank my guests here from the National Consumers League, Trevor Samuels, past president, and Michael Diamond, vice president. Thank you both, gentlemen.
Thank you very much
for sharing your knowledge and the information and the guidance to us. Can always use that.
Thank you for having
Really
us.
appreciate it.
And we hope that we have been of help to our consumers.
Yes, man. I'm sure
Absolutely.
you have been. On their behalf, I extend thanks.
Thank you.
All the best to you.
According to George Washington,